Talker.
Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, folks, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I always like to take a moment and just say thank you to those of you that listen to this program and rely on the information within it. It's a blessing. It's an honor to be on the program for 10 years, helping you guys better understand the real estate market. So thank you to those of you that call and ask questions and allow us to kind of help guide you through the process of buying, selling, investing, or renting out your home, or just being generally helpful with anything real estate related. So if I can ever help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Of course, we'd love to earn your business. We've been at the top of our field for 14 years in a row. So would love to earn your business. The number is 843-800-0065, 843-800-0065, or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can look at our YouTube videos. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play. There's a bunch of different ways to tune in. So I want to talk for just a second about how real estate is changing and how we as agents really need to change along with it. I'm going to a seminar next month. It's going to be about 500 people there. I've got about a 45-minute presentation that I'm doing, no pressure. But just talking about how people in sales, specifically because it's a real estate-based event, specifically how people in real estate have basically been using the same language and using the same process or approach for not just years, but like decades, right? Sales-based training really hasn't changed all that much over the past few decades, but the consumer has changed. Behavioral patterns have changed. There's a lot more sales pressure in just everyday conversations now because people, let's be honest, people just don't want to talk to folks on the phone anymore. I'm a phone guy. I like talking to people on the phone. It's how I built my business. It's a heck of a lot easier. It's way more efficient sometimes. Sometimes, of course, a text will do, but it's really hard to learn about a person and what's important to them and what they're trying to accomplish and the issues that they're facing and how they feel about those issues and how it's affecting them and all of these different things in text. But, there was a survey done. There was about 5,000 people that were surveyed, and 20 of the top 25 words were negative. Now, this is a survey about how people feel about real estate agents. The number one word that was used, by the way, is the word pushy, right? Think about Kurt Russell in Cadillac Man or Boiler Room or Glengarry Glen Ross or Wolf of Wall Street, right? So, and here's a kind of a way of understanding this. Since the beginning of time, we've been subjected to something called information asymmetry, where that's when one party in a transaction has more information about the product or service than the other party, which is why there was usually, only a few words in Latin that we remember, caveat emptor, buyer beware. But then sales kind of evolved because access to information has evolved, right? You used to have to go to a real estate agent because they were the gatekeepers of information, right? They had an MLS book. MLS wasn't publicly available like it is now. But thanks to the internet and social media, we've transitioned from information asymmetry to something called information parity, which is when both parties in a transaction have equal access to information about the product or service in question to make an informed decision. So now consumers can kind of tap into endless amounts of information, read reviews, so on and so forth. And so one of the many challenges that this creates is something called cognitive overload, right? Which basically happens when you're presented with more information or choices or responsibilities than you can reasonably handle or be expected to process, right? We run into analysis paralysis a lot. So, if you think about it from like a real estate perspective, one thing that agents are very guilty of is they'll have a conversation with a buyer and, they'll go through the typical, steps, tell me how many bedrooms, bathrooms, what kind of square footage do you want, price range, locations, any important features that you want to have in your house. And then they'll create this list of homes really what they're going to do is they're going to save these search parameters, right? They're going to set all these different brackets. And then each time a new listing hits the market that falls within those parameters, or an existing listing does something like drop their price, then you receive an email with an update. And so what the agents will say is, hey, I'll set you up on this search. I'll give you access to the information. And then when you see something you like, just let me know and we'll go and we'll take a look at it together. Well, let's say that you're moving to the area and you don't understand the differences between James Island or West Ashley or Mount Pleasant or Somerville. You're just seeing they're close to Charleston, right? They can't be expected to process that information and make an informed decision without experiencing, those areas. So in other words, we aren't the gatekeepers of information anymore. We're the curator of information. Right? The ability to add clarity to the process by seeing things in a fresh light and by helping people identify problems that they probably didn't even realize they had in the first place. And in order to do that, you have to work with an expert. I mean, our ability to use our expertise to guide a customer to the best solution for, his or her particular need, to flush out problems that they didn't even know existed, identify them, provide a solution before it becomes a problem. These are all incredibly important. And one of the big things that I think separates the amateurs from the professionals, our ability to synthesize information for our clients' benefit and improvise or pivot when things don't go perfectly according to plan. Really good agents are not just good problem solvers, they're good problem finders. And so our industry is very easy to break into. A few $100, about $1,000, 90 collective hours, a test that you pass, and boom, you're a practicing real estate professional. And as a result, and by the way, the training that a lot of these agents are getting is very basic, very bare bones. And it, of course, also depends on where they're going to get the information. A lot of people get educations off YouTube, and the validity of that data or those practices is questionable. And so kind of as a result, you've got these agents that are sometimes pushing the envelope with regard to what they say or what they do or how they behave when they're trying to earn your business. And I was talking to a very well-known closing attorney a little while ago, and he said that if he tried even a fraction of what some of these agents get away with, he'd be disbarred. And so it's incredibly challenging for you, the listener. I get it, the consumer, because you don't necessarily know how that transaction is going to go with that agent that you hopefully interviewed and then hired to help you with this process, right? How do you know that you're going to be taken care of and not treated like just another number that the agent gets to brag about on social media or something like that? The best way to do it is to interview them, identify the things that are important to you, and make sure that the person that you're interviewing with is asking a bunch of questions. I mean, they should be as committed to this process as you are. But if you get the standard, they walk in, they tell you their process, they had a predetermined price that they thought your home would sell for based on average price per square foot in the neighborhood. It's just like that old school stuff. Don't get me wrong. It can work. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. But in this type of market, I would really suggest interviewing, and that might require some tough conversations and some tough decisions because everybody knows somebody in real estate. But sometimes they're just better off being your friend and not your real estate agent. There, I said it. So interview, make sure that they have the capacity, the skill set, the time, the budget, and enough reviews, right? Transactional experience for you to feel confident that they can get the job done for you. And then create accountability measures, right? Agents have gotten really good at the pitch, and then the market just basically sold the house for them. Now, agents are having to do work. They're having to find creative ways to market properties, introduce properties to folks, create demand. All these little things matter. Like I mentioned earlier in the program, The more I hone my craft and get better incrementally in all different areas of this process, the more money I put in my client's pocket. And, you do this over 1,300 times. You represent about $1 billion of real estate. You learn some things along the way. So if you're thinking about selling your house, or buying a home, of course, then, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. Let me help you better understand some of the different plans that we have, whether it be a low commission plan, like a 2.4% commission, or, the red carpet, white glove treatment where we go really above and beyond with really all that we do. Or maybe you're somewhere kind of in the middle. You don't necessarily have to sell your home tomorrow, and you're not stubborn enough to say that, hey, I'll have my home on the market for 10 years if it means I get this price. Most people are somewhat reasonable about the process. So if that's something I can help you with, feel free to give me a call. 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks, for the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show is on 1250 WTMA.